Right, so I'm going to start this little session together by giving you some of my impressions, and these are literally just my musings that I've had. I think I wrote an article for a paper or something, and this was something that I came up with because we talk in myself and my husband, Dr. Tuck, have Supreme Wellness Coaching, and part of that is very much about emotional wellness. And what does that mean? So I'd like to just start by giving you my definition of emotional wellness. And again, this is what I have come up with. And it's a state of being where you can handle your challenges. You have grounded thinking and optimism for your life. You're an effective communicator, and you can express yourself authentically, and you have a sense of purpose. So imagine if you have all of those pieces happening at the same time, you're pretty powerful, aren't you? And that's what I really hope for people to have. Now, do I think that people can have a total emotional wellness all the time? Well, it's a bit like having, health and wellness. I don't think everyone is as healthy as they'd like to be all the time. So I think it's something that we strive for to have, but not necessarily getting it all the time, if that makes sense. And so we might be feeling grounded in 1 minute, and then we might, but find it difficult to be an effective communicator. So it's a constant journey for ourselves. And but I have these principles that I think that if we do these things, we're going to find ourselves being more effective. Okay, so let me see how we go here. Oops, hang on, let me just click here. So the very first one is about enjoying the journey. Can you all see it? Our little pictures are not in the way, right? Great. So what do I mean by that? Well, the first thing is to know that it's not the destination that truly matters. Quite often when we're kids, we're sort of, what are you going to be when you grow up? And what are you going to have? Like, are you going to get a house and a car? And these are all sort of destination things that we think that if we have these things, we're going to necessarily be happy. But it's not the destination, because guess what? When we get to the destination, there's going to be another destination. So you might finally get the car of your dreams, but then there's going to be another car that comes along, or it's more expensive, or you want to have a sunroof, or I don't know, something will change and you want something more. Every time you get to the top of the mountain, there's another mountain ahead, that kind of feeling. So it's about the journey that you're taking rather than the destination that really will give you more satisfaction, I think. And it's the journey along the way that gives you the lesson and the experience, because really one of the reasons why we're here on this planet is to learn how to raise our level of consciousness on the planet ourselves, to grow a little bit along the way. And so everything that's happening to us is the lesson and is the experience. Okay. And with that comes embracing the inevitable ups and downs. I mean, I know, put your hand up here if sometimes life is a roller coaster, right? I know, Jess, you're finding that quite a lot today. The roller coasters, you're on the steep part, you just had a little plop. But one of the things to realize is that it is going to go up again. And I think that it's about embracing that there's never really a down that stays down for too long. For some people, it can appear that way. It can be all consuming for a while, but there is an up because there is a down. Okay, so I know that that's maybe not what you feel like right now for some people, but that's the truth of the matter, is that the up is there as well. Now, the next thing is to be viewing your life as one of possibility and choice. I know that sometimes when you feel stressed and things feel difficult, the possibilities and the choice close in, don't they? And it's really difficult to believe that there's anything that can happen. Well, my aspect in here is to be okay with the unknown, because sometimes we get to the point where we really want to try and control things and try and manage our lives from a place of control. And if you can be okay with the unknown, certain unknowns, then you can actually allow life to breathe a little bit. because sometimes it makes you a bit of OCD. It can make you a little bit, worried about every single little tiny piece because you're so concerned with it being okay. So let's just be okay with the unknown. And the next thing is being flexible and adaptable. I had to be flexible and adaptable today because I had a flat tire on the way to work. And the next thing you know, I'm pulling over by the side of the road and I can see where I'm going, but I can't get there in my car. So I have to start being flexible and adaptable and calling people and getting some help. And, it was all quite interesting this morning. So to know that when one door closes, another opens. I know that there's a lot of little sayings that have that, but it's a bit like knowing when there's an up, there's a down. There really truly is another way, and maybe this way is being blocked because you are actually not meant to go down this way. It's meant to be another way, and it's just about feeling your way to find the other doorway, because there's definitely going to be one when you're on the right track. And that's where I mean have certainty that it's unfolding as it's intended, even if the how is not clear right now. This is one of my affirmations. It's all unfolding as it's intended. And all I can say is that when you allow for that to be a potential truth, then you're opening your mind to possibility. And so you're then saying, if this is how it's going to be, then what am I meant to be getting from it? Okay. Having emotional immunity to stress. What do I mean by that? Well, immunity is where you've got the sort of barriers, that you've got the toolkit. You can actually prevent or help yourself from getting it. If you have immunity to illness, then you're less likely to get it than somebody else. And so largely, quite often, your body and your thoughts are actually giving you feedback to what's stressing you out. So it's about listening to that and trying to decode their feedback to you, because I don't believe anything is happening in your body that isn't meant to be happening. It's all there as a feedback to you that something needs to shift, your thinking can shift, your behavior shifts, a decision needs to be made. So with that, you gauge your level of stress. So if you're thinking about it, I literally do it on a scale of 1 to 10. If 10 is totally stressed and 0 is no stress at all, how are you doing? What's your level of stress? So I would say, if you're an 8, then okay, so what are my symptoms? Get very clear. Make sure that you sort of really see what you're being told by your body and by your thoughts. It helps to actually name what's happening. So also then think about the things you can do to de-stress that and your experience. So that's where your immunity comes. You're kind of building these barriers so that your stress levels can drop. And I was talking with a client today about helping her husband de-stress at the end of the day. And we were talking about all the different activities that she could help do with him so that he would be able to de-stress. And one of them was to leave him alone. She needed to get out of his space so that he would be able to just unwind by himself, but maybe have a hot shower, maybe relax for a little bit in a kind of den space. We talked about the different things that he could be doing. And take time for you. I mean, that's largely what he needed to do at the end of his day, to just become less growly, because he was giving so much of himself to his job that by the end of the day, he wasn't ready to just suddenly jump into having time. So taking time to rebalance is really important. Next thing, learning tools to handle the tough times, okay? This is largely what we've been trying to give you in our podcasts. So it's about seeking the tools that will work for you to handle your difficult times. Hopefully some things that we're saying are useful to you, but if it's not us, where else is it? Read a book, watch a video. There's tons of TED Talks that are really fantastic right now. There's plenty of people putting information out there. So there's help and there's tools available, but really find the one that resonates with you. That would be one of my pieces there. And it's in my book, it's all about being able to balance your perspective. So when you're feeling very stressed, the chances are you're out of balance. You're not seeing what's right in front of you. It appears in a particular way. You know, as we talked about fear, which, you know, false evidence appearing real. It definitely can be very stressful, and no one's truly immune to it, but you can actually have the tools that help you to actually take yourself back into a balanced perspective as soon as you can. And from that, I'm talking about looking from an objective viewpoint. For example, if you've got you know, a very subjective, you know, you've had a big argument all of a sudden and you're feeling very uptight about it, you know, think about how to take yourself to a bird's eye view, see what the other person is thinking about, see what's happening for you, and then that objectivity will help you have a bigger picture about what's happening, because in the moment you'll be thinking about your emotional state and how you're feeling about something. So try and take yourself to a bird's eye view above and see what's going on and why it's happening for you, okay? And then make a plan of action, because you can't control what anyone else is doing, but you can control what you're doing. So this is to help you feel in control of your actions. And it might be just, you know, the relaxation piece or the de-stressing piece, or it's a choice. Make a plan of action to make a difference in what your world is doing, so that you feel that you're not just having it happen to you. So the next part is having a sense of direction and self-governance. This really helps with emotional wellness. And this is where I did talk about this in one of our sessions. I don't know if you listened, so I'll just quickly go through it. This was a little acronym that I came up with to know what you want, and you know what it will take to get there. You tune into your radio being. So the radio stands for these things. Being responsible, okay? I know that we all want life to happen to us and it all be live happily ever after, but there is a point where we have to take responsibility for what's going on to a degree, okay? And then with that comes being accountable. What I mean by that is that when something has happened and you've taken part in it, then be accountable for the outcome, whether it's a good outcome or a bad outcome. It's something that you've managed to do and be in control of. Third thing is be disciplined. I know that we're not all disciplined all the time, but if you can be disciplined in what you're trying to do, you're going to get to your outcomes quicker. And so that might mean being organized, which is going to be my O. But before that, I want you to be intuitive, which is listening to yourself. Because quite often, especially when we are thinking about having a new direction or having a good direction for ourselves, we might think, what do my parents think? What does my wife think? What does, you know, you think about somebody else's opinion. And sometimes we get depressed or we have anxiety when we're literally out of our own self. We don't know, we're not listening to ourselves. We're following what we think other people will be pleased with if we do what we think they would want. But really what we do in that process is quietly lose ourselves. So I would really like to suggest to listen to your intuition. And then, of course, as I said before, it's about being organized. Well, if you've got all these things that you want to achieve, you've got to have some organization. So tuning into your radio being, that's a little acronym to remind you of things that would really help to have self-governance. So hopefully that's cool. Now, feeling poise and contentment, that's when you're really centered in yourself and you can really feel that you're not outside of yourself worrying about what other people think. You come into yourself, you can breathe, you can have a sense of being proud of yourself. You know, you actually like who you're being. And sometimes that's really difficult when life's down because you kind of feel you're beating yourself up. So let's see what I have here. Right. When you feel strong emotions, recognize them for what they are. Okay. Name them and know clearly why you feel them. And I think that was one of the themes we really had in our podcast, Kera, because what we do is we tend to feel depressed or angry or or an emotion that's quite strong, but we don't take the time to go, why? Why am I feeling this? What exactly happened that makes me feel this way? So that's really crucial, because then when you can name it and you can know the cause, you can actually get yourself, you've got something to work with. You can get yourself out of that space when you can name it. And that's sometimes what's really difficult, because you just feel like you're in a cloud of just general depression or general anxiety and you can't name it. So that's what I would say is quite a crucial piece of this. Reflect on your part in the dynamic. Whatever's going on for you, you're not in a bubble and it's happening to you. You're part of it, whether you like it or not. So see, why is this happening to me? Ask some questions. What am I getting from this? Why does this keep happening to me, maybe? What didn't I learn last time and this happened before? Just give yourself some quality questions and ask about, if this person is being this way to me, why? Am I not being strong enough? Am I not really speaking my mind? What's going on? Why is this happening? Because it will be that you've got a part to play in it. And look for the lessons of why it's happening or why it happened, okay? And appreciate each day for what it brings. Look for that silver lining. I think that can really help with feeling poise and contentment. And to remind yourself that a rainbow needs sun and rain to exist. You don't just get that beautiful thing in the sky without a bit of both of the things. So even though that you feel maybe that you've got a lot of rain, maybe there's a little bit too much rain going on right now, you do need both things. There is a purpose to the difficulty and the pain that anyone might be feeling. It's just about finding out what's the purpose of it. And so holding an attitude of gratitude for your past and present. Sometimes we sit in our lives and all we can do is just be hung up on something that's happened before. And it's all you can think about. And it might be in the recent past, in the sense that it might have been something that happened to you at lunchtime, and now you've spent the whole afternoon thinking about it. And it just colors everything that happens. You don't ever get really truly present with what you're meant to be doing that day, because all you can think about is the thing that happened at lunchtime. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to uncover the charged memories. So it's really good to think, charge by charge, I mean having an emotional state about something. So if you keep on thinking about an event that happened, put it down. Let's get a little list going of all the things that keep running your thoughts. And it could be the most recent things that have just happened, or it can be something that happened a long time ago. Then it's about dissolving that emotional baggage. And if you've watched the podcasts, what I talk about is when you see something as negative, it's about looking for the positives that have come from it. And the people that you've met, the things that have issued as a result of that event happening. Because again, when we are considering something to be negative, it can be really difficult to get past it, okay? We don't actually see the positive because it's actually being blocked by our emotions and by our value system and by our perceptions of what we think happened. But truly, if you understand about the universal laws, the actual event was neutral. It contained both positive and negative things that will be present when you can truly look. Find the perfection of what makes you, I've got a mistake here, what makes you who you are today, okay? So who you are today didn't happen overnight. There's going to be things that happened before. Now, that's obviously really a good statement if you're feeling brilliant about yourself and you think you're amazing. But if you're having a struggle and you look in the mirror and you don't feel that amazing, it doesn't mean that you're not there underneath. You know truly in your heart, there's a soul inside that's actually saying, I'm waiting for you to hear yourself. I'm waiting for you to see yourself. I'm waiting for you to love yourself. And when you can reharness that power, you'll see that actually the events, even though they were challenges before, have actually brought you here. You're just sort of on the wrong side of the wisdom that's been present. So you are having experiences that lead you to who you are meant to be here and the gifts that you've got for the world, because this will set you free. I've had so many clients that have been stuck and thinking the world is a terrible place and they've had a terrible life, and they just need to do the work and they find themselves set free. They can actually now say, oh, let me get to my future. I can't wait. So applying the wisdom to co-create your future in the shape that inspires you. This is the point, right? I mean, basically, we can't affect what's already happened. We can only be really present in the now. So, you know, being here now with you guys is my number one priority. You know, it's so important that I'm present with you. But my future is something that I have control of today, right now, to be able to decide what I'm going to be achieving and doing, and so do you. So it's about finding what inspires you and knowing that you're in the driving seat, okay? Along with your higher purpose, your higher divine person. If you believe in God, then it's God. If it's divine order, it's divine order. Whatever you believe is the super consciousness that's running this planet and ourselves and our lives, you together with them are in the driving seat of creating who you are. And it's not just something that happens to you. Life has got purpose behind it. So I know sometimes when you're feeling a bit like it is happening to you, it's worth remembering that that's not the case. There's purpose here. Something has happened in order that you can learn the lesson. And if you've made a poor decision, the best thing to do is just make another one, but a different decision. Okay? So sometimes we get stuck on the side of making, shall I do this? Shall I not do this? And you get really, really stuck. But in fact, the decision was once you've made it, if it doesn't work out, make another one. You know, you're quite free to keep shifting your reality. So the other piece about emotional wellness is having ever-growing self-knowledge and love. Because ultimately, we can be pretty mean to ourselves. And you are with you 24/7 for better or worse. Okay? Be your own best friend and cheerleader. I can't say it in any other way. And I know, because I know for myself, that sometimes can be very hard, because I think we put ourselves under huge pressure to, you know, we compare ourselves to other people, and then we think we're not doing right because compared to them, we're in a terrible space. So all I can say is number one, you're with yourself 24/7. The best thing you can do is be on your own team, okay? And find how your unique challenges are your gifts. And this is another way of saying what I've said already, except for what I'm adding here is that you truly do have gifts from your challenges. What you've learnt, what you have authority in, comes from what you've had to actually get over or are in the process of getting over. And whether it's more listening to your intuition, whether it's actually being able to do a particular skill now that you didn't know before, these will be your gifts that you're getting from the experiences you have in your life. And this is absolutely essential, is that anyone who thinks that perfect exists is a liar. And I know a lot of us think that being perfect is the goal. No, it's about recognizing that everybody and everything is imperfect, and that's the perfection. We're not meant to be perfect. We're meant to have all these lovely little flaws and that create us to be completely unique. And this is the last one, I think. It's choosing to walk your talk and communicate your truth. Okay? And this is where it's interesting, because I've worked with clients who've thought that being strong was being muscularly strong, being dominant. But actually, what they found out was to be strong is to be vulnerable. And sometimes, you know, it's obviously having confidence is to be strong, but to be able to be vulnerable sometimes is to show your strength. And likewise, courage might mean to just trust. You know, just trust life, trust others. That takes courage sometimes. Or it might mean to be alert and aware because you're in a situation which you do need to be thinking about yourself and being your cheerleader. And so to be alert and aware is how courage shows up. Listen to your intuition and your inner voice. There's no doubt that that is a connection to you that is talking to you all the time. And if you ignore it or shut it down, you can spend years seeking something outside of yourself when you've really known it all along. And act in ways that feel right to you. If you are about to say something or do something and you listen to yourself and it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Or pick another way of doing it. You know, actually bring into your awareness of what you're meant to be doing or trying to achieve, and find the way of expressing it that is authentically you. And there we are.